Alright, so we're going to continue on in our discussion about drawing creation off of 3D models. And here I've got all my models back and available. I'm going to make a new layout. And let's go take a look. Layout 1. So what do we have on our typical layout? We have a viewport. And like we discussed a little earlier, viewports are not going to be very helpful when it's time to create multiple views of solid models, especially when you have multiple models, right? Multiple 3D solids. You can see it gets kind of congested out there. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete it. Send packing, right? So here's what you should have. You should have your layout, and your layout has your title block and your border. And it's on 11 by 17, and we'll go back to our model. And notice that I was just on the layout that I would like my drawing to be created on. So remember, AutoCAD's going to remember that we were just on this layout a minute ago. All right, so let's pick a victim. And how about this guy here? I want to take this guy and I want to turn him into a multi-view drawing. So again, base view from model space, pick the model you want to send over, enter. It's asking you what layout do you want to go to, and it does remember the last one we were on. Hit enter again, and now here we are on that layout, and good to go. So I'm going to left click, put the model on the screen, hit enter. And now you know that you can click to make the top and click to make the side and click to make an ISO. I want to show you something else though. So what I'm going to do is going to hit enter. And all it did was it placed a single view. It placed the one base view. And if you accidentally do this, no biggie. You don't have to go back and start the command again. Or if you place views and then you decide later you want more views, that's okay too, because you can do that. So I'm going to click on the front view here. I'm going to click on projected views. And what that lets me do is it lets me use the view I clicked as my parent. And now I can project some children. And then I'll hit enter. And then here are my 3 orthographic views along with my isometric pictorial view. Okay. This is looking really good, right? Because we've got hidden lines where we need them. This guy's looking a little shabby, so what I'm going to do in here is I want to change its visual style, and either visible lines is good or shaded with visible lines is good. I'm good either way. Okay, and we might want to change the scale. We might want to make it a little bit smaller because 1:1, if that's the scale it used, is going to be kind of big for the isometric. Isometric's always going to be a little bit smaller than the main views. All right. So what else do we need? Well, let's go take a look over at that file here. So when you get a drawing like this, when it's time to add dimensions, this shouldn't be too tough. We're going to use the dimensions that are here. And you can even use the dimensions I gave you kind of like a reference on what you need to add and where to put them. Additionally, we need center lines through the tunnels and center marks on circles. So, over on the Annotate tab, we can set our layer to center. And I can say, give me center lines. And it'll actually see the hidden line there and the hidden line there and place a center line between them. Alright, even though they're not really lines, even though they are artificially created by AutoCAD and you never drew anything, it still sees that those are hidden lines and it can center up on them. Alright, very good. So there's center lines, and then we need a center mark on that hole. And as long as the hole is round, as long as it's a circle, you'll get your center mark. What do I need for dimensions? Well, let's go take a look. I need a depth, I need a height, and I need a width. So we'll set up our layer for dimensions, and these are all linear dimensions. I need a depth from here to here, it's going to be 3/8 away. And I need a height. And from here to here. And it's actually going to be 5/8 away from here. 5/8 away. And we'll see why in a minute or two. Then we're going to need a width. From here to here. And I'm going to pull that 5/8 away also. Alright, so why did I go 5/8 here and 5/8 here? Well, if we look at our sample, we know there's another dimension here, right? So that's 3/8, and then a quarter past that's 5/8. 3/8, and then a quarter past that is 5/8. So let's do our breakdown. Right? I want a dimension from the corner to the quadrant on the circle, and I don't want a linear or a line dimension. I want a linear. There we go. That'll be 3/8 up. And that doesn't look too good, does it? So let's find out what's going on. Let's snap it here. Let's pull it up. 3/8. Hey, there we go. And then we'll pull another one from here to here. Click, click. 3/8 from here to here. And then our next little segment is going to be from here to here. We'll line up those arrowheads so everything is in one row. All right. Anything else we need? We need to know the thickness of this part, 3/8. And then we're going to go from the quadrant there down to this corner to show the location of the hole. 3/8 over. Very nice. And then our last one is going to be diameter, right? Because we have a hole. So what's the diameter on that circle? There is the diameter on that circle. All right, so fully dimensioned, right? We've got our multiple views. We got a nice isometric in the corner. We are fully dimensioned out here. And good to go. So if we're trying to create a drawing and we're working off of something like this, where it's already laid out in 3 views and we've already got the dimensions, just go through as you are adding the dimensions and mark them off to say, okay, I've added that, I've added that, I've added that. And then this way when you're done, you can say, okay, I know I added them all because I've marked them all off here. Now, some of these were laid out a little bit different though. For example, this one. Right, so on this one, I gave you an isometric view, and if we want to add dimensions to this one, well, this is going to require a little bit more thinking. We still need the same number of dimensions, right? If you needed these dimensions to model it, you're going to need the dimensions on the document. So let's set that one up. So here's our target. This is the model we want to send over to our layout. So we'll go to the layout, make sure it's clean and ready to go. I'll go back to model space. I'll click on base view and say, give me some goodies from model space, and I want this. Enter. It's identifying in the command line the layout is going to move to. Enter again, and voila, there it is. So I need a front, and I need a top, and I need, oh, whoops, I made 2 views. So do I have to go back and delete them and start over? No. I can click on the parent view, and I can say project me a view. There we go. And then give me an ISO while you're at it. Then hit enter. And there's my views. So I'm going to move things around a little bit, get things positioned where I like them. On this view here, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. I'll change its display style. Just visible lines for that, like a little isometric drawing. Pretty nice. And then I'm going to go to town, right? So what do I need? Well, let's just start going through the list. I'm going to need center lines and center marks. I'll do them first. All right, so center mark my two circles, or the holes. Center lines are going to go in between the tunnels. I'll have one there. We'll have another one over here. And we'll have another one over here. And now, of course, if your object is small, just understand that center line's not looking much like a center line, is it? So you might need to go in there and make some adjustments. Once the adjustment, well, it's a property. It's called line type scale, right? CH properties. The line type scale of those three center lines is set to 1. I can't see the pattern. Let me make it smaller, 0.5. Okay, so how about now? Hey, now they look good. Now they look like center lines. All right, so now we can proceed. And again, if you're wondering what dimensions do I need, but you don't want to double dimension or over dimension, just look at what's here and go through one at a time. See, I need a 5-inch overall width, right? So I'll mark it and I'll add it. All right, so either in the front or the top, I want to pull down 3/8 away, that 5-inch width. All right, what next? I've got a 2.5 depth and a 1.5 height. So I'm going to do those two next. 2.5 depth, 1.5 height. All right, we got those two. Moving right along. I need to call out that there's a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch here. Okay, that should be easy enough. We'll go to linear dimensions and we'll add a 1/2 inch here. And we'll do another linear dimension over here. And I'll use this one to line it up. Ooh, something's wrong. Gonna have to go ahead and fix that. See, that's the great thing about adding dimensions is sometimes we realize that, oops, I screwed up. All right, so if you see there's a mistake, we can go in and we can fix. And now when I go back and take a look at my model, now it's too big. Wow. Let's go back and fix it again. Minus 0.01. Okay. Hopefully that took care of it. There we go. Perfect. All right. So dimensions, yeah, they're necessary for fabrication. It's also a nice way to check your work. And then where are the holes? The holes are 1.25 inches down, 1.25 inches over, and then 1.5 inches between. So we'll add those 3 dimensions. Where are the holes? 1.25 inches over. And I'm going to start over here at the quadrant. And quadrant to quadrant, 1.5 inches over. And quadrant to here. All right, and I'll pull this guy out another 1/4 inch. Okay, so holes are located. What else do I need? On the side here, I got a slot, and I got the gap, and I got the height of the gap. So that'll be the side view. I've got the slot 3/8 down, and I got the gap, height of the gap. Okay, and we are almost there. What's left? See, it's easy to tell what's left. It's our one dimension that's not highlighted yet. Diameters on the holes, right? So we'll get in the view where they are circular, and we'll go call out our diameter symbol, and then we're going to pull out our diameter, and since both holes are the same, we see there's a note that goes along with this. 0.75 times 2 tells us 2 holes, both of them the same diameter, right? Or you could have TYP for typical, since they're both the same. Alright, so what we've reviewed is setting up multiple views off of a solid model, making sure we have annotation like center marks and center lines. We've talked about the isometric being optional, but nice to include if you can. And it's no extra work, is it, to include the isometric? So you might as well. And then finally, how do we make sure we're not missing any annotation? Well, we make sure we're not missing annotation by going through and highlighting what we're working off of to make sure we captured all the size information that was necessary to model the solids.